Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another League One roundup for match week 15 on this Sunday afternoon. As always, 4 selected games for you, looking at them from a tactical perspective. How did those games pan out? And highlighting and chatting about all of the big moments. We'll touch on all of the fixtures, but 4 we'll be delving quite deep into. I've watched the highlights back, I've really sort of looked at the statistics, and there's some big ones. There's some big games of football and some significant results as well. Are you happy with your team's performance this weekend? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make it a discussion, make it a forum. I'll be replying and responding to all of them as per usual. Sorry there was no match reaction for Oxford against Peterborough, but don't worry and don't fear, Oxford and Peterborough fans, or maybe just League One fans in general. That'll be one of the 4 games. In fact, we're going to start with Oxford United right away. Before we do that though, please make sure you join the Discord server. Link to that is in the description down below. We've got a bit of a revamp on Discord. An amazing person in there has basically revamped everything about the server. We've now got fan logos, badges, and all that sort of thing as well. So it's very specific to your football club that you support. Always a League One discussion going on in there, especially over a match week. Of course, it's a Tuesday fixture as well this week, so it's going to be lots of conversation throughout the week. And also, that's the place to be for the fan call-ins. Let's get into it, starting off with Oxford United against Peterborough United. You can see by looking at the screen here. The reason why I brought Oxford on this sort of general Oxford page and not the game specifically is because I look over here to the recent form. It's not looking very pretty, is it? It's not looking very pretty. The only win in the last, how many games are selected there? 2, 4, 6, 8. Is Exeter, of course, last Saturday, a 4-2 win. We lost to Sutton in the Papa John's Trophy. We've got a really good interview coming out, by the way, with a journalist and a fan of Oxford United, sort of talking about the Carl Robinson situation, about his future, and Oxford United in general. Really, really fascinating. So that's going to be coming out hopefully Monday or Tuesday. We do look into that in a little bit more detail, but I want to highlight that because that is pretty dismal and really showing the bad run of form that we're currently on. And you can see by looking at the league table here, Peterborough United 4th in the league. 15 games they've played, 8 wins, 1 draw and 6 losses, putting that defeat against Wycombe Wanderers behind them last weekend, and then now earning a crucial 3 points on the road, 25 points in total. Looking at Oxford United, you have to scroll a little bit further down to see them. 19th now, 13 games played, 4 wins, 2 draws and 7 losses, 14 points from 13 games. You can see by looking at the form, that's only a block of 5. We know that winless run and really bad run of form does go further than that, but even with the last 5 games, only 1 victory in there. That did come against Exeter last Saturday. Breaking down the game is quite difficult, but I think the easiest way of describing it was, first half, absolutely dreadful from Oxford United. We were 2-0 down at the break. I think I put it on the Instagram story. We were absolutely miles off it. Peterborough, I mean, we scored a disallowed goal really early on, then they scored straight away after that, and then, I mean, quite similar goals actually, sort of outside the area, cutbacks, and then you'd say good finishes. Some people sort of ask questions, maybe to Simon East when he could do slightly better with the efforts that they sort of fired at him, but the first half, it was miles away. It was really summarising what sort of season we had. Really, really poor. We lacked rhythm, defended with utter incompetence, you'd say, in that first 45. The midfield didn't get hold of the game. Defensively, we looked shaky, and it was just a really, really bad performance. I thought if it continues like that, this could get really messy. 2-0 down at the break, playing really badly. If we come out and Peterborough say, right, let's take this, let's take it to the next level. Let's get out of first gear, take it into second or third gear. Because I don't think Peterborough United were playing in a high gear in that first half. We were just very, very bad, and we made them look much better early on. And that opening 45 minutes, really compared to how they are. I mean, they were good. They scored 2 really good goals, but Oxford, that just showed the level of performance we were hitting, which wasn't very high whatsoever. Moving on into the second half, we scored in the 52nd minute. Billy Bowden with a header making it 2-1. And at that point, I think we saw a really lot of hard work. I think a lot of hard work in that second half. And not to say the first half we weren't working hard, because even in this sort of bad run, you can't really fault Oxford United players for not putting an effort in. I think there certainly is effort there. It's just lacking something called quality. And I think it comes down to, I think I highlighted it in the Plymouth episode a couple of weeks ago, probably now a couple of months ago. God, it's flown by. How, hard work, determination, distance covered, amounts of sprints, the presses, that will get you so far. But you're going to have that element of quality. Are we going to have that element of, spark? We haven't got that element of spark. And you can run around and you can press and you can really sort of take the game to Plymouth, or in this case, Peterborough. I'm using Plymouth as an example because it was very similar to that. You can sort of go and really, I guess, push them, to a really, really difficult situation for them to be in. But if you haven't got that quality and you haven't got that, like I say, spark and real piece of edge, you're not going to be successful in this league. In previous years, you probably could get away with it and you could get into that top half, maybe sneak into a top 8, top 6 race with it. I don't think you can. I think you're pretty capped at mid-table if you haven't got an element of real quality, and that's what we're lacking. We have got hard work, but we haven't got any clinical edge, something a little bit different. We scored a goal to make it 2-1, like I said, and then Matty Taylor gets sent off, of course, our striker, through violent conduct. We're going to appeal the red card. For me, I haven't actually watched it back since, but it looks like he pushes him. Look, it's not ideal. It's petulant, and Matty Taylor should know better than that. This is someone who is experienced. He's played a lot of football matches. Similar, actually, comments to what I said about James Collins at Derby a couple of weeks ago when he got sent off. I think James Collins was a worse decision. It was a red card, you'd say, both of them, with a letter of the law. I think Matty Taylor's probably will get rescinded to just a yellow because it was quite soft, and players have done worse and not been sent off. But, similar to the James Collins thing, I think players of that experience and player of that knowledge who have played a lot of games of football know better than that. They know that the referee, by doing that, you force the referee to make a decision. The opposition is going to make a meal of it, and he does. It all kicks off. Carl Robinson screaming at linesmen, screaming at fourth officials. You then got him getting booked. It doesn't look like a very happy camp, personally. That's how I see it. Of course, I'm not in that football club, and I wouldn't like to make assumptions, but in that moment, 100%, there was a bit of panic in there. And of course, the panic's going to come from the fact that their striker's been sent off. And then Carl Robinson's desperately trying to call his players over and trying to sort of tactically work out a way of doing things a little bit different with with one man down. But it looked so messy. It looked really unprofessional. I understand that you can't look professional at all times, and when a man gets sent off, you need to desperately try and find a way and collect your players and try and distract them and tell them to go again. Of course, that is really important, but the timing of it as well. You get it back to 2-1, then 5 minutes later, down to 10 men. And look, we did look better, and we did sort of huff and puff. We did come forward and try and do something a little bit different, but it wasn't enough. And it just sort of looked quite frustrating. Everyone was quite frustrated. And what I mean by happy camp is, I don't want to make assumptions because I'm not in that football club, and that'd be unfair for me to sort of say this player's not happy or whatever, because I don't know. That'd be basically assuming things that aren't necessarily true. But it looks frustrating. The players look frustrated. Carl Robinson looks frustrated, and you can see why. You can see why they are. They are working hard. I never doubt that, but they haven't got that's something a little bit different. They haven't got that something where you go, wow, right, he can change a game. Marcus Brown looked good in the game, but again, he sort of really struggled to sort of get that output, as I think the majority of the players did do as well. Honestly, deep down, I always sort of say, a lot of people sort of laughing and joking about the whole Carl Robinson debate after beating Exeter. Look, I said, look, this is not paper over the cracks, and I think this is now another example of what I meant by that. Beating Exeter in a 4-2 game where we did play well doesn't paper over the cracks of the serious issues at this football club and the way we're playing. Exeter weren't good. Exeter weren't good at all, and we had to come into this game after a very dismal performance against Sutton as well, where we played quite a full-strength side. We had to go again, and we had to really build on it. Did we build it? Did we use, like I said, throughout the entire reaction last weekend, did we use that Exeter game as a springboard? No, we didn't, because we lost the game. The performance in the second half was better, but better clearly isn't that level of performance, that level of better, if you like, not very good English, but you know what I'm trying to say. That level of performance that everyone's saying is much improved, which I think it is, it's still not enough, is it? It's still not enough, because you still come out of the game losing the game 2-1. I think it is the beginning of the end for Carl Robinson. That's just my opinion. I don't know anything more than anybody else does. I try and speak to a lot of people in that football club, the forums and that sort of thing, who aren't, inside the club, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to sort of get as much information as I can. It sounds as though Carl Robinson's job is fairly safe, and that's the way it is. They like him. They think he's somebody that has done so much for the community, which he has, and that cannot be doubted. He has taken Oxford United into a really good position in previous years, but are we regressing in the sort of the last couple of the last seasons? You'd probably say last season and this season. You'd have to say we have been regressing. We aren't improving on the 2 years of the first full 2 seasons that he was here, and that's the bottom line, and that is fairly factual. So where do we go from here? Well, we got Pompey on Tuesday night, and that's going to be a massive game. Is it going to be an easy game? It's going to be one of the hardest of the season. Away from home, Fratton Park is going to be one of the most challenging games of the campaign, and we've got to go there, and we've got to perform. we've got to perform and we've got to put something into that game and try and get a point out of it. And as a fan, it's never nice to say. You don't want to get points out of games or hoping we can get points out of games, but that's all we can do. We can only try and get something out of it. And again, that's the sort of situation they're in right now. I'd slap your hand off for a point at Fratton Park. Would it? You know, and that might be the turning point. But I'm fed up of this. Might be it. This might be that. Look, we weren't good in that first half at all. Second half better, but not good enough. We lose the game. And the refereeing was bad as well. That is important. The referee was bad for both sides. I thought some of the decisions were questionable. But the reason why I don't talk about referees a lot, and this is sort of a general League One thing, is because the referees are bad for everyone across all the games. You know, it's a very bad level of refereeing in Sky Bet League One. It has been for so many years. So, look, I'm not trying to say that the referee in the game was good, and Oxford and Carl Robinson have no reason to be frustrated by it, because we absolutely do. Some of the decisions were really, really questionable. But ultimately, everyone's in the same pond, and we all have to deal with the same refereeing committee, and they're the ones that are struggling to make the right decisions and struggling to make the right calls. That's the same for Peterborough, and they also would feel that they had some poor decisions made against them in the game as well. So, look, we can only move forward, in the words of James Lawrence Alcott. We can only move forward, and hopefully that forward can be more positive. But, yeah, I wouldn't put my house on it if I don't actually own at all. Right, that's quite an extended Oxford United versus Peterborough debrief. We don't normally spend 15 minutes talking about one game, so we'll whiz through to the next one, to Lincoln City. I'm not quite sure what division that is. That is not Lincoln City, and that is not League One, because they hosted Sheffield Wednesday, and they picked up a very, very good point. Lincoln City picked up a vital point, and not one that many expected. You can see by looking, actually, at the form. They beat Ipswich last weekend, away from home. They then had Sheffield Wednesday at home, and they've got a really, really massive point. They've been really, really impressive in recent weeks, and they have not been swallowed up by the sides in top position, in top form, with exceptional talent. They've gone there, and they've realised, look, they played quite direct against Ipswich, and they had to, because Ipswich dominated the possession. And we always knew that was going to happen. We knew that ultimately Ipswich were going to try and dominate the ball, and Sheffield Wednesday tried to do that as well. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen. These are sides that, with managers, Darren Moore, Kieran McKenna, they like to play a really possession-based, really sort of try and tear down Lincoln City or their opposition slowly but surely, with patience, but with the quality that they've got. But it didn't necessarily work in the game. They didn't lose Sheffield Wednesday. They did get a point from it. But you look at hindsight, you look at the start of this, going into this match, they would have expected 3 points. But fair play to Lincoln. They did dig deep. Try and say that quickly. It's a challenge. The momentum graph that we always look at does sort of paint that picture. Sheffield Wednesday controlling the game, looking really good going forward, but lack of finishing. The clinical edge was simply not there. And I reiterate, Lincoln, they had to dig deep. And at very difficult moments, they did exactly that. One thing I would say is the output for Sheffield Wednesday, by looking at the 17 shots only 3 on target, will be a concern. They dominated the ball at 67 possession to 33, but 6 shots in Lincoln City, 3 on target. They have the same shots on target with 11 more shots Wednesday in the match. That'll be a problem. That'll be something that Darren Moore's got to look at when dissecting and digesting the game. You've got to look at the fact that you've got to get more shots off, and they weren't able to, especially challenging shots and ones that the goalkeeper has to do a little bit of work with, because it seems as though, and I think, to be fair, I'm looking at the Lincoln City goalkeeper, who was at massive fault for the goal, the opening goal for Sheffield Wednesday, scored by striker Lee Gregory. I mean, I'm not quite sure what he was doing. It was a free kick. I think it was a free kick. It wasn't a goal kick. I think it was a free kick. And he sort of shanked it across his body, across the box, straight into the feet of Lee Gregory. To be honest with you, it's actually a really good finish from Gregory in the circumstances, because you can easily crumble and sort of see that, and you get almost sort of reindeer in the headlights, and sort of go, right, what am I going to do here? The ball, it wasn't meant to go to him, but it was fired at him. A brilliant control, and like I say, a composed finisher. In Lee Gregory will score that. I'm not surprised he scores it, but it's not as easy as you think when the ball's getting fired at you, and there's a gaping goal there with a goalkeeper running across it desperately. I mean, it's a really good finish, but a horrific mistake from Carl Rushworth, the goalkeeper, who had a brilliant game against Ipswich. So that'll be very disappointing. I mentioned the 17 shots, only 3 on target. That is poor. And you look at sort of how you try and win the game. That'll be a big big part of it. That's how you would have won the game Wednesday, get more shots off and do better with the 17 shots and the possession you had. But you did look very good going forward. Look at that momentum. It was ruthless. It was wave after wave of attack, but you lacked that clinical edge, and that clinical edge will win you football matches. And I think we saw Sheffield Wednesday, you can't win football matches as easy if you haven't got that real edge in front of goal. It's a lovely move for Lincoln's goal, by the way, their equaliser, because, I mean, they could have crumbled. Going 1-0 down after 7 minutes, very, very early on. You can easily crumble in that. You look at Sheffield Wednesday, the quality they've got. Barry Bannon had a good game. You've got Joe Windass, Michael Smith, Lee Gregory in front of them. You've got a really strong back three. The players off the bench aren't bad either. Wilkes, Briers, Bashiri, of course, who's also having a really good season. This is a brilliant squad. You go 1-0 down after 7 minutes, you can easily crumble, and you can go, right, this is going to be a real challenge now. Going down this early on against this sort of quality opposition, how are we going to try and combat a way of working our way back into it? And they did. Straight after half-time, a really well-worked goal through the midfield, and then it's almost like a bit of tiki-taka with three players passing it round Sheffield Wednesday, not letting them have any way of intercepting it, and then a lovely free ball to the forward playing on the right-hand side, Daniel Manduru, who makes it 1-1. I'm pretty sure that's to pronounce his name. I could be absolutely wrong. Is it Daniel Manduru? I've absolutely butchered it. I can only apologise, but it's a really good finish from him. And, he got a huge equaliser in the game. Looking at that in the second half, 64% possession, first half 70% possession. So, in fairness, they did take their foot off the gas a little bit Wednesday in that second half, and maybe that's where they were able to go and get that winner, because the first half it was all them. 9 shots. Second half, more shots, but only 1 on target in the second 45. Looking at the league table, Wednesday now third in the league after that draw, 30 points in total, only 5 points off top spot. Plymouth and Ipswich, who are in second, now all playing 15 games in total. Lincoln City, 15th in the league, 13 games they've played, 18 points in total, but look how tight it is. We're talking about being 15th, you think 15th isn't ideal, it's not really where Lincoln would want to be, and their performances in recent weeks do not warrant 15th place. They should be finishing much higher than that based on those level of performances in recent weeks, but it is tight. Bolton on 24 points, it's not far away whatsoever, only 6 points from the top 6. Mike Kennedy's side really are picking up some huge points against some huge opposition. Second and third, back-to-back Saturdays, 4 points from 6. I think you'll certainly take that. Right, let's move on then to Accrington Stanley against Bolton Wanderers. I'm not quite sure what we keep going on specific teams. I know we tried to do with Oxford, but so they're a little bit better, aren't they, since then? They're a little bit better since looking at Oxford United's recent form. Let's go to Accrington, because they were part of a really, really good game. What a comeback from Ian Everett's Bolton Wanderers side. I saw 2-0. 1-0 at half-time, I saw 2-0 come through, and I thought, oh dear. I know quite a few Bolton Wanderers fans in the Discord were moaning a little bit, quite a lot, about the finishing department, about Bolton's quite inconsistent last few weeks. You can see by looking at the table if we scroll down. A little bit hot and cold. 2 wins, a draw and 2 losses. That isn't going to get you... Well, it isn't going to continue in that top 6. You aren't going to get sustainability in that top 6, because it is really up and down and really inconsistent. But coming from 2 goals down, the fight, the desire, and that spell between, in fact, we can get the graph here, that spell between the 71st minute and the 75th minute very clearly showed on the graph here, just around that sort of time where my mouse is there. You can see the goals, they came and they absolutely just went at them. It was like Wolves. They absolutely came at them like wolves in that second half. And when they got a bit of momentum, they got a little bit of rhythm, they just kept going, and their mentality almost was, we're not going to stop until we come back. And when you got a side like that, and when you get into a piece of mindset like that, you're going to be in a great place. Accrington, they do deserve credit, because they were 2-0 up in the game, and that sort of first half, and actually I'd say first sort of 50 minutes of the match, they were really, really good. The first goal was really impressive, real pacey, almost counter-attacking type of goal, a bit of head tennis, and then it was actually Joe Pritchard who did a brilliant flick over the defence of Ricardo Santos, and I think it was Jordan Williams got done with the initial flick. Brilliant ball, and then it sort of slide across to Sean Wally, of course, playing on that right-hand side, who slots it in the back of the net. It's 1-0, and that's actually how the half finishes. I saw a few Bolton fans sort of pop on my phone. I thought, oh dear, they're not happy. I saw a little bit of concern once again with that sort of front three and the players going forward, not being up to scratch. Then 2-0, George Johnson own goal, you're thinking, oh dear. And then, like I say, 2-1 own goal from Harvey Rodgers makes it, it's game on, isn't it, at 2-1. And then, like I say, that spell between the 70th minute and the 75th minute, and a little bit longer than that, actually. It does continue to go on a little bit longer, but that was a real big spell of attacking quality. They come back and they win the game 3-2, and fair play to them, because to have a mentality, rhythm, resilience, all those different types of I guess, actions of mentality in a footballer is very, very impressive, and it cost them, Accrington, 3 points and a 2-goal lead. So fair play to Bolton Wanderers. Looking at the statistics in a little bit more detail, we'll come on to the league table in just a second. First half, Bolton dominating the ball, 17, so this is all in total, 61 possession, 17 shots of 13. So Accrington, they were knocking on the door. The only thing you'd say is they couldn't hold on, and they lost a 2-goal lead that they will be frustrated by. But go and watch the highlights back, because it was just highlight after highlight of just Bolton going at them, and they did reap the rewards. Kieran Lee scored the equaliser, and then Oladapo off a lion makes it 3-2, and the limbs in the away end were pretty impressive indeed. A lot of conversation around the Pompey video talking about away support, and Bolton, well, they certainly did match an exciting away end with that third goal, and so they should. You go down to Accrington and you go 2-0 down and come back, their limbs are always going to be there, and they certainly were. Watch the highlights back. Really impressive stuff from Bolton Wanderers and their away support. 6th in the league, Bolton Wanderers after that win, 24 points now, very, very close. You look at Peterborough, who are in 4th. It is very, very tight, but that win does get them into that playoff place position, and only 2 points between Charlton and Bolton. A little bit of a cushion, not a big cushion, but a little bit of a cushion. Accrington 17th in the league, now 3 defeats back-to-back. John Coleman's side really are struggling in recent weeks. That first defeat was against Plymouth Argyle, then Derby County, and then Bolton. They have been 3 difficult games, but 3-2, 3-0, and 3-0. That'll be a little bit annoying, and defensively, they have got to shore up. But those are difficult games. Plymouth are top of the league, Ipswich are 2nd in the league, and Bolton Wanderers, who are now in those playoff places, with expectations ultimately to be in and around those sides as well, and are in and around those sides. You can't complain too much. Difficult fixture list in recent weeks. Unfortunately, Accrington, they weren't able to come out of it with anything more than a defeat, and that will annoy them. Considering they were 2 goals up. But fair play to Bolton, a brilliant comeback, and Everett must be absolutely buzzing with that win. Right then, let's go to Bristol Rovers, because they pulled off a brilliant point against still league leaders Plymouth Argyle. First half, very, very even, you'd say, with teams coming forward. I think Plymouth, you'd say, slightly edged it, and the wonder goals, being 2-0 up, and the 2 wonder goals in that first half was so impressive. Go and watch those goals back. Watch the limbs back for Bolton's third goal, and watch the Plymouth Argyle strikes in the first half. Azaz scored an absolute pelter, and you go, that can't be matched. Well, Randall gives a run for his money. I'd personally still go with Azaz, because that finish in the top left-hand corner was very, very impressive. But Adam Randall, look, you might have scored a worldie here. I'm going to go and score another one. And they were exceptional strikes. And all jokes aside, definitely go and have a little watch at them, because they're very, very good. And they shocked Bristol Rovers. Really a first half where Bristol, they had moments, but Plymouth, you'd say, were on top across that first 45 in a general sense. They're 2-0 down at half-time, and it is 2 wonder goals that is the difference. I look at the stats, if we just come over to the stats, we'll come on to the second half graph in just a second. Total, 52% possession to the away side. Just seen there as well, Scott St Clair, who joined the number 7, made an appearance, a little cameo for the last minute or so. When he built up his fitness, that could be a really impressive signing for Bristol Rovers, and very important as well. The career that he's had in recent years, he might be getting on a little bit now. How old is he, actually? Let's click on his name. How old is Scott St Clair? Can we see his age by looking at that? I'm not sure. I'll have to quickly click on his name. He's had an exceptional career, 33. Yeah, he's getting on a little bit. Of course, left Preston North End in the summer, and then has joined League One side and Joe Barton's boys, Bristol Rovers. He could be a really exciting player going forward, and someone that could give him something a little bit different. Got to build up that fitness, I imagine, because he was didn't have a club actually since he got released in the summer until he's just joined Rovers. Where's the game gone? Where has our game gone? Anyway, we got distracted. Second half, Bristol Rovers. I watched Stephen Schumacher's interview as well. He actually called it, apparently. Well, I mean, he's going to say it, isn't he? But he called it. He said at half-time, we expect a Bristol Rovers reaction, and we need to come out strong. We need to come out the better side. You can see they weren't able to do that. And Bristol Rovers, they came out really, really strong And they scored in the 47th minute. Josh Coburn makes it 2-1. And then 2-2 about 10 minutes later. Not even that. About 10 minutes later, Aaron Collins. And you can see, talking about coming out strong, expecting a reaction, Bristol Rovers certainly did give a reaction. Plymouth unable to deal with it. Rest of the game, actually, Rovers were slightly better. Plymouth then had a little bit more of a spell. Then Bristol ended on top. A draw probably seems quite a fair result by looking at it. You maybe argue Bristol Rovers' second half performance could have seen them gone on and won the game. But first half Plymouth did look good. It wasn't their best performance, but I think in hindsight it's not a bad point. Away from home, not an easy place to go whatsoever, Rovers, and to go there, I would have stuck around for a draw in the season when we lost there as Oxford United. A draw will be a good result, and it's one of those. I think that again, Stephen Schumacher said this: the longer that the season goes on, and the further away you go from this game, from this result, the better that point might become, because you look at it and you go, that could be really significant and that could be the exact point that we need. So fair play to them, fair play to Bristol Rovers and Plymouth as well, because they both put on a real show, a brilliant game of football, played at a really high tempo, and you can see by looking at that, the graph really up there, it's just in the attacking show that was put on was really impressive. Looking at the stats, and I want to sort of say as well, that goal from Aaron Collins, a brilliant move actually, fired into him, fired into the penalty area, you'd say, and then a lovely flick, a delicate flick into Aaron Collins. He just has to sort of touch it, toe poke it. Sorry, I'm not quite sure exactly how he does finish. I can't quite remember, but he just sort of guides it in the back of the net. But that initial flick to Aaron Collins, such composure with that flick, and they make it 2-2. Looking at the statistics, actually more shots to Bristol Rovers, more on target as well, less possession, but there was some real positives, and Bristol Rovers as well are on form. Plymouth, not bad in terms of form either, 11 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses from 15 games. They were on a really good run of winning until that game yesterday, but still top by 2 points. Bristol Rovers now 13th in the league, unbeaten in at least their last 5, 19 points in total. They really are climbing their way up that table, and in recent weeks, they have been in good form, and they'll certainly take this one as well. Taking the league leaders, considering they were 2-0 down, back to a 2-2 draw, is not bad whatsoever. So fair play to Bristol Rovers. And again, I want to reiterate, Plymouth Argyle, you probably will take that point. The only thing that will be annoying is the fact you were leading the game by 2-0. So having a quick look around the grounds, the ones we didn't have a look at in detail. Forest Green Rovers defeated at home to birthday boy Danny Cowley's side. They needed that win, Pompey. They really, really did. Recent weeks haven't been good enough. The results, the performances have certainly seen a drop-off. They needed to get back on track. And you'd say it wasn't crashing that Pompey would have wanted, the real reaction in terms of scored they would have wanted, but it's an important win. And it's one of those where you go, before the game, we've got to win this game 3 or 4-0 to see a real reaction. You come out and you go, we'll take that. We'll take the 3 points, because that's all that matters, really, at this stage in the season. We've spoken about those two. Morecambe beating Barnsley. That is a huge shock. Bottom of the table, Morecambe beating Barnsley, who have got serious aspirations to be in that top 6, and in recent weeks have looked really, really good. That's not a good point for, not a good point, that's no points for Barnsley and Michael Duff's side. Morecambe, absolutely, they did him a little bit dirty by looking at that momentum graph, it's fair to say. MK Dons versus Wycombe Wanderers. MK Dons' awful run, and the start of the season only gets worse. Liam Manning has to be hanging on to his job now. I think he's an exceptional manager, by the way, but he's clearly not getting the results, and their league table performance now sees them 24th in the league, because Morecambe beat Barnsley. That is not the result they would have wanted. MK Dons, after 14 games, are bottom of the league. 10 defeats from 14 games. It is not looking good, and Liam Manning, I haven't looked at the news, he might have been sacked by the time I finish recording this, but as of recording, he's still in a job. Let's see what happens there. Exeter, difficult one to take for Fleetwood, but they went to Exeter, and Exeter did win the game 2-1 after quite difficult results in recent weeks. That's a huge result for Exeter. Shrewsbury, away from home, away from home at Shrewsbury, a really good win. First away win for Ben Garner's side. That's really important for them to continue on this really good run. Now, just outside that top 6, who'd have thought that a couple of weeks ago when Charlton's form was a little bit doom and gloom? Now they are looking like a really, really good outfit. And you should thank me for it, because since I've been going in the away end, I've kept the result going, and I've given them that sort of the confidence they need. They're now going to away grounds, and they're winning there as well. So Charlton, thank me later. Looking at the final couple of results, Ipswich, we've spoken about that one, and then we've got Burton against Cheltenham. Cheltenham, not a good result. I've seen a bit of Wade Elliott frustration in that one. Losing to Burton is not a good result. Burton, though, bit of a potential survival chase could be on here. 1-0 against them, and Burton actually dominated in the game very, very comfortably. And finally, Cambridge United against Port Vale. Not a good result for Mark Bonner's side, who lose to Vale by only 1-0, but that only goal does cost them some big points, and points really Cambridge you'd expect them to sort of take, but fair to newly promoted Port Vale, they did put on a show, and in front of their away support, not in front of the home support, you'd say. That does round up this week in League One and the roundup for Match Week 15. Hopefully you did enjoy it. I certainly did, as I always do on these Sundays. I love going through all these different games. Hopefully you did as well. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Join the Discord server, and I'll be replying and responding to all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, as I always do. Take care. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Some real interesting content in the next sort of few days, interviews. We've got Tuesday games as well, so roundups on a Wednesday. It's carnage, it's all kicking off. I can't wait for it. Pompey match reaction. You just can't get enough of me this week. It's going to be really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are as well. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. Take care, stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.